technical problem was solved in 40 minutes. The human problem took 4 hours longer. And nobody designed it that way. It just happened because nobody designed it differently. The network team fixed it in 40 minutes. Clean resolution. Solid work. Meanwhile, the service desk had told 200 users it would take 4 hours. Nobody had told the service desk the fix was done. The users found out when their screens came back on. The service desk found out from the users. This isn't a technology problem. The fix worked. It isn't a skills problem. The team was competent. It's a visibility problem. The information that would have changed how dozens of people spent their morning existed inside one team and never crossed the boundary. That gap doesn't close automatically. It has to be designed closed. 3 organizations, 3 different failure modes, the same root cause. Work happened, information didn't travel, and the people who needed to act on that information were the last to receive it or never received it at all. The real problem isn't that people chose not to communicate. It's that nobody designed the information flows that would make communication automatic. Silos aren't built on secrecy. They're built on the absence of a reason to share. That's where ITIL's 4th guiding principle applies. Collaborate and promote visibility isn't a cultural aspiration. It's an operating discipline. Collaborate and promote visibility is the 4th ITIL guiding principle. It addresses one of the most consistent failure patterns in IT service management, good work done in isolation, that creates bad outcomes for everyone connected to it. The fix isn't more meetings. It's better design of who knows what and when. In practice, this principle asks 2 questions about every piece of work. Who needs to be involved, meaning who has something to contribute that would make the outcome better? And who needs to be informed, meaning who will be affected by the outcome and needs to know before the impact arrives. Both lists are almost always longer than the team currently working on the problem. Every team generates information that other teams need. The question is whether that information travels by design or by accident. When it travels by accident, it arrives late, incomplete, or not at all. When it travels by design, the right people have what they need before they need to ask for it. The difference between those 2 states is not technology, it's intent and structure. These 3 traps all produce the same outcome: teams that believe they are communicating well, while the people who need their information are still working without it. The test of visibility is not whether information was sent. It's whether the person who needed it had it when they needed to act. Service Mimir didn't redesign their incident process. They added one thing: a shared live status feed that all 3 groups could see in real time. No more phone calls between teams to find out where things stood. No more service desk working from a status that was 40 minutes out of date. The technical fix was the same. The visibility around it changed everything downstream. 3 characteristics: role-appropriate information, pre-consequence communication, shared work in progress. None of these require a new tool. They require a deliberate decision about what gets shared, with whom, and when, made before the work starts rather than after the impact lands. The clinical systems team spotted the platform degradation at 10 a.m. and began investigating. The support desk received the first user call at 10:04 and raised a separate incident. By 11 a.m, both teams had escalated to their respective managers. By noon, a third-party vendor had been contacted twice by 2 different people from the same organization about the same fault. Nobody had looked at the other team's ticket. The instinct when collaboration breaks down is to add more touch points, more stand-up meetings, more status calls, bigger distribution lists. That instinct usually makes things worse. What Orbis Health needed wasn't more communication. It was one shared incident queue visible to both teams. One structural change would have made the duplication impossible. Instead, they scheduled a weekly cross-team sync. Ask these 3 questions about any process that currently crosses a team boundary. Who is affected? What gap exists? Where do handoffs lose context? The answers will locate your visibility problems faster than any audit, and they'll tell you exactly where to design the fix. The change was technically successful. Completed on time, within window, no rollback required. The infrastructure team closed the ticket at 2:47 a.m. and went home. At 9 a.m, the business operations team arrived to find their Monday morning reports had stopped populating. 3 hours of investigation, 2 escalations, 1 very uncomfortable conversation. All of it preventable with a notification that would have taken 5 minutes to write. These 3 costs compound each other, and they all flow from the same source: information that existed but didn't travel. The waste, the delay, the damaged trust. None of it required a technical failure to occur. It required only that the right information stayed inside the wrong boundary at the wrong time. The shift this principle requires moves communication from reactive to structural. Instead of asking, who should we tell about this? You ask, who needs to know about this? And how do we make sure they find out before the impact arrives? That's a design question, not a communication question. And it gets answered once in the process, rather than every time an incident occurs. This is the rule. Communication that arrives with the consequence doesn't prevent the consequence. It just adds context to damage that has already been done. Visibility that enables action has to arrive before the impact, early enough that the person receiving it can do something with it. If your current communication model consistently produces explanations rather than forewarnings, it needs to be redesigned. 3 actions. 1 handoff, mapped and reviewed with the receiving team. 1 decision checked for timing, before or after the consequence. 1 broadcast communication replaced with 2 targeted ones. None of these require a program or a tool change. They require 1 conversation and 1 deliberate redesign of something that currently relies on luck. The gap exists right now in your operation. Another team is making a decision or managing an incident or preparing for a change with less context than they need, because your team has information it hasn't shared yet. That gap is closable this week without a project, a budget, or an approval. It requires a conversation and a decision about what travels and when. 3 ways to go further. Share your most costly visibility failure in the comments. Your example will help someone else recognize the same pattern before it costs them. Check out the Mimir ITIL course for the full picture across all 7 principles. And this week, find 1 downstream team and ask them 1 question. What do you wish you knew before it happened? Their answer is worth more than a process review. Share your experience.